Hi, welcome back to Tiny Classrooms Live.
Hi, Dr. Don here in Taos, New Mexico.
I'm the HR guy, Artie Nathan, here in Las Vegas. And our topic today is reopening part 2 in times of crisis.
Reopening part 2. Well, we chatted yesterday about the momentum that's underway in the country and in much of the world, frankly, to try to reopen businesses and reopen the economy and so on. And even though that's happening, there are some things that we think everyone who's involved in a reopening must be considering. So why don't you go with the first one, Artie?
I think people have to consider and keep their focus on health and safety. You know, we've heard a lot about the science
Yeah.
during this pandemic, and social distancing and wearing masks and being safe and careful. I think that managers have to take that into account as they plan their reopening programs.
I think you're absolutely right, and that's really much in support of a recent Harris poll that suggests that the majority of Americans who typically work in an office are very hesitant to return. And about a quarter of the respondents, they're going to wait until they feel safe.
I think you're right. And so a lot of people aren't sure if they want to go back to the office or they want to stay at home working. So if you're going to reopen your office, I think you have to relook at the policies and the rules within the office. Because if some people do stay home and others stay in the office,
Right.
or everybody comes back to the office, there's got to be new rules. It's not going to be back to a normal situation. So look at the roles and responsibilities and reset them accordingly.
Exactly. On a return to the workplace, the routines are going to shift, the rules are going to shift, but also the physical spaces are likely to change today.
I think the physical space and the workspaces are all going to change to maintain this distancing.
That's
And
right.
if you're dealing with customers, how you maintain your distancing with customers as well. So all of those rules have to be set up. People have to be trained and people have to adhere to them.
Exactly. You know, and another point is that we should continually solicit input from our people to know the barriers and the fear that your team is experiencing. You know, as they come back from this isolation and the trauma of this pandemic, people are going to come back to work not really whole. They're going to be wounded. They're going to be afraid. They're going to be scared for their health and their families. So input constantly. Talk to your people. Ask how they're feeling. Ask their opinion.
Yeah, and I think you got to be really flexible because people are going to be conflicted. They're going to have these other needs that they've had these past 2 or 3 months. And so being flexible is really important. You may want to consider having an employee assistance counselor come to work to help people deal with the things that are going through their heads. But you can't go back to the way you were. I think flexibility is really important.
Absolutely, and that may go as far as what phases you use to open the office. You know, maybe it's the absolutely need people to start with, and then maybe it's people who are having a little trouble with daycare and taking care of children, givers, and so on and so forth. The third level phase would be for folks who have underlying health conditions and really shouldn't come back to the office really safe.
Yeah, and I think you don't have to do this alone. There's a lot of expertise being developed around the country, whether it's your local health departments or other businesses that you know, colleagues and peers in your Chamber of Commerce. They're all going to be experiencing the same thing. So I don't think there's any shame with not knowing it all by yourself, but checking with others, certainly using the internet, but go slow and find out all the best practices you can.
Absolutely right. And then transparency across the board. I mean, transparency is something that any manager needs all the time, often don't do enough of it, but particularly now in a crisis, consistent communications over and over and over again is absolutely.
And whatever you're planning, talk to your employees about it. Tell them. Don't surprise them with anything. And that'll help them to move through this transition as well.
Yes, it will. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.